What is up, you guys? Courtney from Erie Coven. Love, light, and blessings to all. So, I'm going to talk to you today about connecting with deities. Sorry. Uh, so, I had a comment. This was a request from a newfound friend of mine, another witch. Um, and I thought it was an actual really good subject or topic. We all, at the start of our craft, want to know this, and we all kind of seek that bond with a deity, especially if we have one in mind. Or usually we will have one of a certain correspondence. Like, for example, when I was a newer witch a long time ago, I'm getting old. Anyway, I knew that I wanted a goddess or deity of the darker side or balanced. Um, so we kind of have an idea of what we want, but how do we get it and how do we connect with it? Well, some people get a calling, but understand not everybody does. You don't have to receive a calling in order to have a deity or matron or patron or whatever. So, and also, I just want to mention we are already connected to all the deities in some way or another. Um, some people, will go, well, I'm not working with the fertility goddess, for example, because I'm not trying to have kids. Well, we were born from fertility, along with many other creatures on this planet. We're alive and breathing because of that. So that's just a small thing to keep in mind, that we already have connections with these divine. So start with what stands out to you. If you're interested in Celtic, if you're interested in Druidism, which kind of the same, um, if you're interested in, Wicca, whichever path it may be, I would start with researching the main deities worked with in the path you're choosing. Once you research about them and know a little about which one, or have an idea of who you would like to work with or seek out, I would write them down, all the ones that interest you, and then narrow it down to 5, then narrow it down to 3, then narrow it down to whomever you want to dedicate yourself to. Some people also have more than one. That's okay too, whichever. Um, so, after you narrow it down, if you're interested in a deity, I advise that you go with one that pulls at your heart, one that you just know you have to know. And it's one of those things you'll know when you know, you know. So, I started with studying out Druidism, and then I went to worshiping or trying to worship Nyx or Nox. And I felt it, but I didn't feel it was right for me. So I didn't do a dedication ritual. I kept seeking out who would be my deity. And it took me a while to figure out how to connect with them and form that bond. So I kind of wish that I had some of this information at that point, because I know coming into it as a newer witch, you're kind of scattered. Like, what do I do? Who do I worship? Who do I choose? Are they going to choose me? Well, once you know who you're interested in or would like to work with or start to bond with them, first I would start by creating an altar for them. Once you create an altar for them, make sure that it is sacred and for them. That's a sacred space just for you to connect with that deity. Put things on this altar that they enjoy or represent, or things that correspond with them. On my altar, for example, with Hecate, I put skulls for her dealings with spirits and the dead. Black dogs, keys, torches, the number 3, different things that go with my goddess, I put on the altar. And I would make sure that you keep it pretty clean too. So you see, to do this, it's going to kind of push you to research about your deity in order to know what to put on the altar. We cannot connect with these beings if we do not know anything about them. Kind of like how Christians study their Bible to get to know their God. We have to learn and study about ours to get to know ours. And knowing who they are is bonding and connecting with them. After your altar is set up, I personally made Hecate an offering. I just felt it was right, so I did it. I would say that's optional, but I would probably make them an offering and make a little prayer, kind of a call of declaration, if you get me. I felt again in my heart that this was the right thing to do. I wrote a little prayer to her, telling her that I wanted to know her, I wanted to bond with her, I wanted that connection. Would she accept me? Am I worthy? If so, Goddess, give me a sign, in a way, type of thing. And the next day, she gave me signs. It was amazing. My fiance was there with me, and he was amazed. They will give you a sign. That is why it is so important to know your deity, do your research, because how are you going to connect and bond with them or know what signs they're going to give you if you don't know them? That is key too. Well, for example, the next day when I received my signs from her, I was going for a walk, and the first sign was a flock of crows came flying, surrounding my fiance and I, cawing, and they literally followed us like up the road a bit. And that was amazing. The second one was all over the neighborhood, everywhere I went on this walk, I heard dogs, and it just kind of ring at me, kind of amplified, and it pulled at my chest like, okay, this is for me, I believe. And the third one was later that night, a thunderstorm hit right over my area of the neighborhood. And then it went away after about an hour, and an owl was hooting outside the window out on a tree. So I took that as my third sign, and I had an amazing, wonderful feeling. I was like, yes, So it's really important to know about your deity, to connect and bond with them so you can get these signs from them. A lot of people feel they don't get answers from them. Well, do you know them well enough to know what the signs are going to be, how they're going to communicate with you? You have to know this. Another good way, divination, prayer, dreams. If you can lucid dream, that's something you should start. Being a beginner, dream work later on in your practice can really be useful. So I'll do a video on that later. But if a deity takes interest in you, maybe you'll get your calling before you even try to reach out. Pay attention. Just make sure that you know them. I can't stress that enough. So through divination, I communicate with my goddess either through tarot cards or with pendulums. And I get a lot of good answers from her with that. When I am just stressed out, lost, or need help, I will communicate with her through these items. And, you know, usually 9 times out of 10, I leave my divination session feeling a lot better and more knowledgeable about the situation. So definitely research, reach out, try to communicate with them, try to work with them, correspond with them. So bottom line things about connecting with deities. 1, we are already all connected. Know that. 2, we need to research about them so we can know the signs and communicate with them. 3, you will know when you know. And that's really all I can tell you about that. You'll know when you know which one's right for you. And 4, you can communicate with them. And you know what? I will do a part 2 to this video with a bit more explaining about this. And I will do a divination session to kind of demonstrate how to communicate with your deity. And I will also go a bit more in depth how you can research with them and stuff like that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. Part 2 will probably be up tomorrow. And if you want a part 2 and to see a demonstration of divination with my deity, like, sub, and leave me a comment. Tell me who you are interested in. And let me know if this was helpful. Love and blessings from Eerie Coven.